When you think of your financial journey, will your future self thank you? Stick around. We're going to talk through that. So today we're talking through 6 tips to where your future self will really thank you if you can take advantage of these tips. If you're young and starting out as an investor, or if you have a child or a grandchild that may be interested in getting off on the right foot, these items can really help. And we've invited Haley Modlin here with us today, another financial advisor that we work with. And then Mike Eklund, he's down there joining me. I'm Chad Smith, your normal host. So let's jump into this list here, Haley, that you put together. I like this idea of the future self. We're going to start with knowing what you're spending. How important is that?
So it doesn't really matter how you're doing it, what tool you pick, just have an idea of how much you're spending kind of on an ongoing basis so you can use that to make other financial decisions.
Yeah, and I know not everyone loves tracking spending, but I think more important than the actual number is the awareness of where the money is going. And I think that will help you more than anything else with the spending, because a lot of people have a difficulty understanding where the money goes. And I think that, as Haley mentioned, tracking it will be a big benefit to your future self.
And then number 2, we're going to jump into the idea of these big purchases, right? We only have a few of these in our life that we make, and many times we want to flex, right, with some of these purchases. So it's important to understand how that impacts the long term, right, Haley?
Right. So when you're thinking cars or houses or boats, whatever it is, how that's going to affect you actually month to month and over the course of a year. So maybe you spend a little bit more on a house than you probably should. How that might be an extra $100 a month, but that's $1,200 a year that you could be using to do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, some people like to call these the big rocks or the big items. So if you focus and do a good job maintaining or monitoring your spending, or keeping the cost down on living, which is apartment, rent, or a house and cars, you'll have a lot more freedom to spend on other things like vacations or other enjoyment with friends and family. So it's important, as Haley mentioned, to focus on the big picture costs and not just how much monthly it will come out of your pay.
Yeah, and then number 3, we transition away from spending and move towards retirement savings. And it's that 401k and understanding how that works and what's available to you there.
So most likely you're going to have access to a retirement plan through work. And most employers are going to offer a match of some sort. Maybe that's, they will put in 3%. If you put in 3% or you put in 6%, they'll give 3%. Whatever that is, you want to make sure you're taking advantage of that. Otherwise, you're pretty much just leaving your salary on the table for part of it.
No, that's great. And you're paying yourself first, I like to call it, which is saving in your 401k, is a great way to get ahead. As much as you can, contribute, and you'll thank yourself in the future.
That's right, Mike. And a big reason for that is the power of saving. We've included a chart here that shows income levels over a 40-year time span for a young graduate at age 23. And if they save just 15% of their income, what it could do over time if they're investing it and not succumbing to behavioral investment mistakes. You could see the result there. If you're a super saver, saving 20% of your income, we included a line down there that shows you that amount as well. And another important point while you're young and starting is the availability of a Roth IRA and building tax-free savings, right?
Right. So the Roth IRA is a great tool for folks who are in a lower tax bracket. And another thing that people don't really think about when they hear that is that you can take those contributions back out before you retire if you needed to. So they kind of acts as a secondary emergency fund, which I don't think a lot of people understand that, and that kind of keeps them from jumping in feet first on the Roth IRA.
Yeah, a lot of flexibility. Contributions, like as Haley mentioned, for emergencies, college for the kids, a lot of different options. So don't forget about the Roth IRA.
And as you age, your income increases, right? So you may lose that opportunity if you're not aware of those others, those fancy planning strategies like a backdoor Roth IRA and things that financial advisors help you with. So moving to number 5 here, don't skip risk planning or big catastrophic planning, right? We don't like to think about that when we're young though, Haley.
Right. Well, I don't think anybody likes to think about that, but it's something you don't want to forget about. So maybe that is considering disability insurance or getting some term life insurance when it's cheap because you're young and you're healthy, or setting up power of attorneys for the event that something happened and you couldn't make decisions for yourself.
Now, all topics that are not very exciting, but very important. So don't forget about it.
Number 6, our last step is discussing money in our relationships and understanding the significance of the choice that we're making, not just relationally, but financially.
So communication is key when it comes to relationships and finances. So you really want to have a understanding of how your partner feels about things like debt or spending, or saving for that matter, and making sure that you are finding ways to work together and get closer to being on the same page for those things.
No, that's good points. I mean, money typically is the top one or two issue in relationships. So make sure that you understand the views of your significant other, and make sure that you understand kind of where you can work together.
So I hope you can use these 6 tips in your financial journey, and just checking the boxes to make sure you've considered them. Maybe you've already started them. Maybe it's something that you need to look back and double check on where you're at. We'll add a checklist in the show notes that you can download with some other ideas here if you're just starting out, or an item that you can give to a loved one, a younger loved one in your family. If you like this episode, we have many others on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe so you do not miss the next one, and or check out our podcast where we have 117 episodes now that you can listen to in a little bit longer form, but we go into a little deeper detail. Haley, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.